Well, it seems like Earl Sweatshirt has another new track for us, titled Tabula Rasa, and this is the second track that he's dropped in the last month or so, the other one being 2010, and I think everyone just kind of assumed that this was going to lead to some sort of project because with Tabula Rasa, he also announced his upcoming album, Sick, will be dropping January 14th, 2022, so about a month away. But with this song, he taps in with Armand Hammer. And given that the title and the feature are kind of interesting, to say the least, it's only right that we go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. If you are new here, these breakdowns are where I go through and read out the lyrics to a song and give my interpretation of what the artist is trying to say. My interpretations aren't always correct or right in any sort of way. So if I've missed something or misinterpreted anything or just straight up don't know and you have more information, let me know in the comments below. That way everyone gets to learn a little bit. So before we get into the song itself, the title, Tabula Rasa, refers to like a philosophical idea thing by Locke. Basically just saying that we all begin our lives with a blank slate. Like all these ideas and everything that comes to us comes through our experiences in life. Like there's nothing that just is there like before everything else in our heads. It also translates, I think, directly to like clean slate or cleared table, something like that. So whether or not that plays into the rest of the song, we'll have to wait and see. As the song starts, this is a very drumless sort of sample and not something that I would have really expected Earl to rap on until recently. And I only say that because of the people that he's done features for and kind of the group of people that he's around. Like, I think he's done tracks with Boldy James, and Boldy James does pretty low-key sort of sounds. So I kind of expected this transition. But the beat's unique, to say the least, and I really do enjoy the sample on it. But before we even get to Earl, we have Armand Hammer.
Off the strength, I'm not as numb as I thought. I'm broken links, my circle shrinking smaller. Satellite revolve, my core is a cauldron. Surrendered orbits.
Off the strength, like off the rip, like on God, I'm not as numb as I thought. Like whatever, like kind of the whole toxic masculinity thing. Like we're not supposed to feel anything. We're just supposed to be stoic all the time. So maybe I'm not as numb as I thought. I'm broken links, my circle string is smaller. So this is probably talking about people that he's close to, maybe passing away over time. His circle is getting smaller. These broken links, this chain that they all had, the thing that linked them together is breaking. Then satellites revolve. My core is a cauldron. So satellites being literal satellites that we send up to space, but also just anything that's orbiting in space normally. So like the moon, for example, is technically a satellite. So maybe he's just saying like, there's all these things that are still going on around me. And then his core is a cauldron. So the thing that fuels him, his, I guess, being is a cauldron. And whether that cauldron is full or not, I mean, who's to say? I think it's probably emptying, given what he was saying before, though. But basically that core, which if you think about like orbit and space and all that, the core is like the molten core that's just inside of every planet. He's basically just saying like my core, the thing that really like gives life, I guess, is a cauldron and there's nothing there. Or you can even be like this cauldron that all these things that I've put into the cauldron make up me.
Cross-check what's really real and what's performance. Speak for self, but wondering who else really on it. Who's really all in? Trouble calling.
He's cross-checking what's real and what's fake. He's trying to figure out what's legit. And he's speaking for himself, but he's also just kind of wondering, like, yo, is everyone else trying to do the same thing? Or who's really all in, like, with the good, like, with the realness? who's really all in with the bad or the fakeness. But by him asking, there's trouble calling.
My phone don't ping, I'm buzzed, leave me alone. Truth with a stash pocket for a lie. The document is alive, I speak life.
So his phone doesn't make a sound. He just, like, the trouble calling isn't like someone literally calling up on the phone. Like, there's no ringing, but it's something coming. But playing off of the my phone doesn't ping line, my phone, or I'm buzzed. So you go, what is sound, vibrate, and silent. So he's on buzz, and that's his phone, but also him. He is buzzed. Just leave him alone. Like, he doesn't want to hear a sound, or he doesn't want to hear trouble calling. Truth with a stashed pocket for a lie. I don't know what he's trying to say there. The only thing that came to mind immediately was like him wanting to be left alone, and all these things that he's saying here. My phone don't ping, I'm buzzed. That's the truth, but there's also like he has something tucked away just in case he needs to lie, or there's truth and lies and truth. Don't know what document he's talking about though, and don't know how he's speaking life, or maybe he's just speaking life in the sense like this is just life, and this I'm just talking about it.
Every border gets revised or dissolved with the fines with his charge. Haven't made up my mind if I'm assigned to the stars.
Every border gets revised if dissolved. Yeah, I think he's talking about both in terms of countries, states, and all that, but also just in like the imaginary lines and borders that we create. But he hasn't made up his mind, like maybe to dissolve these dissolve these issues or revise these borders.
I slide when I want, I'm inside of the funk. Trust, she on up when it dump. It came from the sludge.
So he's inside of the funk, like he's in the shit, like he's there. Best believe that. And then she wants up when it dumps. So if we were to take him being in the shit as like a dump or a landfill or just wherever stuff gets tossed out to, like he brought someone there and she's like, nah, I'm getting out of this, like when more stuff piles on. So maybe he's talking about himself, like he opens up and revises those borders, but now the person that he's revised those borders with is like, nah, I'm not having this, and just left or wants to leave.
Involuntary, shook foundations and studs, tears and snot bubbles, sock puddles. I lay in the West by. Listen, let's not conflate. I give what I take.
So yeah, maybe after opening up or talking to someone, there's basically a puddle on the bed from multiple sources.
Some talk like they never got punched in the face. You can't see clearly now. Don't come near me. Whales at the wary, loop max infinite. Draw me closer, damn near intimate.
So some people just be bold and say wild things. I think I did a breakdown of a song recently where they said something like that. That sounds familiar. Someone being bold and just like, yo, what are you doing? You won't say that to my face. You're just saying it online or something. You can't see clearly now. Don't come near me, whales of the weary. So I think where he's going, maybe the snot bubbles, sob puddles, and tears from the previous line is someone literally just crying and like trying to come near him, but they can't see clearly, one because of the tears, but also because they're emotional. They can't really, or they may not be able to process what's going on properly or like fully understand what's going on. Loop max infinite, I had to kind of guess that because the transcription didn't have it, so I tried to fill it in. Don't know what he means with that though. But draw me closer, damn near intimate, like we gonna be real close. Then there's a little bit of a beat break and Billy Woods comes on.
Flyer said grown and sexy. I came through overproof in a plastic Pepsi bottle. Security didn't check me. Skip coat check. They playing the oldies.
I had to kind of do the same thing with this first line as I did with the previous line. I wasn't too sure what he said, so I'm assuming he said, "Here, grown and sexy." But he is the flyest one here. He's the best looking one here. Or he saw someone who was the best looking there. But he came through overproofing the plastic Pepsi bottle. I don't know what that means. But anyway, security didn't check him. He skipped coat check. They playing the oldies. Like he just walked right in, and because they were playing the oldies, he didn't want to check his coat.
I'ma go ahead and get sweaty. Plus save the 10 piece. It's hell up in Harlem, so meet me cross 110th Street.
So yeah, he's just gonna go in and dance. It's hell up in Harlem, so meet me. And he wants you to meet him at that particular street or cross street. Maybe he's just saying like they're playing the oldies, so he's gonna go and enjoy himself, transform himself back to the old days, and just maybe not worry about what's going on right now, but also while worrying about what's going on right now.
If the trees are bargain bars that don't really tempt me, I'm from where every car foreign and we drive them on empty. Zimbabwe, bury me in a borrowed suit.
If the tree's a bargain, the weed, like he doesn't really care. Like he doesn't care if it's a bargain. That doesn't tempt him. And it doesn't tempt him because where he's from, every car is foreign and we driving them in on empty. And they said Zimbabwe in there, which to me confuses me. So every car is frozen or foreign and we drive them on empty. Like, well, one, foreign cars are expensive to drive. So, I mean, maybe you just can't afford the gas. But then he says Zimbabwe. So I don't know that much about Zimbabwe, but do they have foreign cars there? But like more just as showpieces? But I think that's what people do here too. So it's like, what?
Give my babies my rhyme books, but tell them do you. Give my enemies the good news. Time flew. We was probably brothers back then like TRU. No jerseys, no do-rags, hard bottom shoes.
So when he passes, he wants to leave his rhyme book to his babies and let all of his enemies know the good news. But going back to his kids, like he wants them to do, like be themselves. Like, yeah, here's your dad's rhyme book, but don't just do what he did. Like, I think he leaves it more as like a lesson or like just tips from your father after he passed.
Niggas tired of the foolishness, no disrespect, it's a lot of mids in the room. My pack loud, cut right through. Kofi Annan in the booth.
So people are tired of the foolishness. He doesn't mean any disrespect, but there's a lot of mid in the room. Like, well, one, maybe he's just whatever room he's in, the speakers have a lot of mid, like mid-bass. But I think he's also just kind of saying like, nah, that's what you got over there is mid. Like, it ain't that great. But when you say no, it's a lot of mids in this room. There's no way to say it without being disrespectful. I don't think. I think when you say that, you can only be disrespectful. And then I have no idea what he was talking about was in the booth. Yeah, all I got was non, and I'm like, no, that's just because you're a brown boy. I don't think he's saying non.
So Yink in the stool, says second Mabutu. If the DJ plays something smooth, slide it's a move. I don't dance, but maybe tonight.
The stew right away made me think maybe he was talking about non. That's one thing, but he's then referencing like a president or the president of the Congo back in the day. And I don't know a whole lot about that myself, so I mean, maybe these next lines make sense based off of that, but without having further information, I genuinely don't know. Like, does playing something smooth makes, like, is that relevant? I don't know.
Maybe tonight, I don't know her, I don't even mind if it is the strobe light. Live for the living. I made chicken late night and my box is burning up the kitchen.
Maybe tonight. I don't know her, and I don't even mind if it's the strobe light. Live for the living. Live in the moment, maybe. He's admiring someone as well, like watching them dance. And he's like, are you actually dancing, or is it the strobe light? I don't know. And then him saying he made chicken last night and his box was burned up the kitchen. Like, what?
She passed out right when I was done fixing. I watched reruns in the dark, fingers and lips glistening.
So yeah, I guess she was in that building as well. Because it sounds like she was passed out right after he was done fixing the food. And then he's just, all right, cool. I'm gonna just watch reruns in the dark, and all you can see is fingers and lips glistening. So there's something on his fingers and his lips that reflect light very well. Then we get a little interlude, and we get to Earl's verse.
Venture there and back, tall tales tossed to the breeze. We keep facts in the midnight wax. Family tree sap, light leak through the leaves on familiar tracks.
We've been to there and back. We've been to hell and back. We've been through shit. Like, we've talked tales. We've talked to the breeze. Like, there's been a lot going on. We keep facts in the midnight wax. It's all being written down. He's keeping all the facts somewhere in wax. Which could just be like vinyls too. Family tree sap, family trees, and then the inside of the tree is a sap. You can kind of think of that as blood. So this is the family blood.
I know what's real even when I'm feeling bad. Resilient as they built the black. She shimmy into the yeah, that's consent getting established. You only trash if you trash. I keep it simple and dynamic.
So some of the things in his family he may know, like he has to remind himself is actually happening or happened when he's down. Like, these things have happened. Like, he can't ignore it, I guess. And resilient as they build to black. So maybe he's talking about the trees, talking about himself. He could also just be talking about all the things that like black people have to deal with, because he says build to black. Like, these are all the things that build up to black people. Like, these trees that are getting cut down help build, or are the building blocks. Maybe. I could be looking way into that, though. She shimmy into the yeah. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah. That's consent getting established. I think you still have to have, like, real consent before you, like... Or, well, it's getting established, I guess. But then he goes on to say, you only trash if you trash. Like, if you're a trash person, you trash.
Trust the passage rights of life's chapters. I have the right to find balance. This game of telephone, massive. I do what I have to with the fragments.
Trust the passage right that life's chapters. Trust the process, or passage of time is going to write the chapters of life. Like, whatever happens is going to be written down by somebody, like, over time. But he has to write himself to find balance, probably to build that history or work on life's chapters. But also, writing can help balance you. Like, it helps get all your thoughts out. This game of telephone massive, and I do what I have to do. What I have to with the fragments. Telephone, it's that game where you kind of pass a phrase through multiple people's ears, and by the end, it's going to be something completely different than what you started with. So maybe he's just talking about how certain things get said out of context. He said, she said, and then eventually it's a completely different story. He's getting the pieces at the end, it sounds like, because he does what he has to with the fragments of whatever he got.
The madness method rampant these days. I let the panic pass me. Featherweight, my heart was straight despite baggage. Asymptomatic, but I get sick of the delays. Faster, faster.
So the madness method, rampant these days. People are mad, people are crazy, people just be wild. But he lets the panic just kind of pass him. He doesn't let it sit too long. He doesn't have panic attacks, I guess. Although he's a featherweight, his heart was his heart was fine, even though there was a bunch of baggage. And he's asymptomatic, but he gets sicker and delays faster and faster. So there's a couple things there. Panic and like anxiety and just those sorts of attacks will get your heart beating faster and faster. But even though he's a featherweight, he's saying, nah, I was cool. Like, even though there's so many things going on around me, like, I got a hella baggage, I'm still cool. But although he's saying he's cool and has the appearance that he is fine, he keeps getting sicker. And these things keep piling up. And then the delays, which is in relation to the baggage, I'm assuming, gets faster and faster. So these delays in like these gaps between him getting better are getting shorter. Or these gaps where he is getting better is getting shorter, maybe. Or these gaps in between like the anxiety and the panic is getting shorter.
Practicing what I preach. Keep pace. The calcium on my teeth fade. Streets ablaze with the anger, complacency, and deceit create ice sheet break.
So practicing what he preaches, he's trying to do so. And he's trying to keep pace. Then he says the calcium on my teeth fade. I think your teeth are mostly calcium, which is why it's like when you see skulls or like old teeth, they haven't really fully rotted down. Like they're kind of bone. So the calcium's gone and it's just fading, maybe. Like its teeth are just disappearing into dust. And then the streets are blazed with the anger, complacency, and deceit. And like the deceit's created through the anger and complacency. And then ice sheet break. So there's still this fire in the streets. And it's eventually going to break through.
I couldn't wait. All I could say to the times that I couldn't freeze frame. Bleak fate. We got so much to bleed to clean slate. Bag of tricks in my sleeve breaks.
I couldn't wait. I think maybe he's just talking about that ice sheet breaking. Like he wasn't able to because he was weaker. Anytime that there were times that he couldn't change anything or only like saw a bleak fate. Like if he was to take a freeze frame, it was just a bleak fate. All he could really do is like say, yeah, you got so much to bleed to clean slate. So I don't know what he means about the bleeding part. The metaphor is there. It's like you gotta bleed a bunch. Like you gotta go through a lot to kind of clear what's going on. I mean, literally, if you have blood flowing on like a dirty slate, sure, it'll eventually clear it off, and blood will stick to that too, though. So, like, maybe saying like to clear yourself of all these negative things that you've done, like you gotta put in some work, and the negative things will remain kind of like blood in the grooves of whatever the slate is. Or you know, you just gotta go through shit to be good again. But that ties into the Tabula Rasa sort of thing or idea.
Southpaw under the North Star, forcing all the lead changes. Don't sleep, man.
I think Southpaw under the North Star is just because it sounds cool. I don't know where he was going at the end there. Forcing all the league changes, I mean, if we're talking about boxing, Southpaw, like maybe like whatever happened, he had to change, like it forces a change in the league. But beyond that, I'm not sure. That's the song, and it was quite a bit more dense than I had anticipated. But to be fair, I should have known better. So hopefully this isn't super long of a video, and you guys found something interesting about it. But overall, this song was good. I enjoyed it. Like I think I like this more than 2010, and that's only because it feels like Earl's leaning more into that sort of like drumless sound. I'm very excited to see what sort of like if this sound is consistent throughout the album. I mean, with 2010 that was kind of laid back too. I'm trying to remember if there was drums now, but they're probably light, to be honest. But it's dope. I don't think Alchemist produced this, because I was originally going to say like maybe this is the Earl and Alchemist tape that they've been saying is on YouTube for years now, but I don't think this is Alch. But regardless, this is exciting. I'm excited to see where Earl goes. I mean, with some rap songs in Feet of Clay, he went a lot louder and more distorted, but now he sounds very clean and focused. So I'm interested. With all that said, I'm going to leave it there. Like I mentioned at the beginning, let me know if I missed something or misinterpreted anything in the comments below, because there was a lot I missed. I'm sure of it. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.